I was walking through the woods off the beaten track a bit, and I smelled this really overpowering sweet smell. Being nosy, I pulled back the undergrowth to have a look and found a dead body. The guy had clearly been there a while and wasn't looking great, all swollen and green and black with various runny bits. The local wildlife had also been dining well for a few days. I called the police, who told me to wait with the body until they arrived. Being in the middle of nowhere, it took a while for them to arrive and it got dark. And I was just sat there in the dark with him for a long time. It turned out he had committed suicide. For a long time afterwards, I had dreams about him and he would talk to me and not nice things. Mainly about how he was angry I had disturbed his resting place and he wanted me to kill myself. Probably just my imagination, but all pretty disturbing at the time. He still turns up in my dreams from time to time and no doubt will be tonight after typing this. At a closed-down lodge in Wyoming. The place was halfway up a mountain, 6 miles from the nearest town, 10 from the nearest gas station, and probably 15 from anyone who could actually hear you scream. The owners shut it down for the season and wanted someone to keep an eye on things. Just a few months, they said. Plow the driveway after storms, keep the pipes from freezing, make sure no one breaks in. Easy money. It snowed every other day. Most mornings were wrapped in that sickly pink-blue glow you only get in high-altitude winters. Everything was hushed, as if the world itself were holding its breath. The floors creaked even when I wasn't moving. I'd wake up at 3:12 a.m. almost every night for no reason. I thought it was just the cold. The days blurred into each other. I cooked the same meals, walked the same halls. The lounge still had fake pine garlands nailed above the windows, left over from last Christmas. They didn't move, nothing moved. The whole place felt paused. Then one evening, headlights. A beat-up SUV pulled into the snow-packed lot. A man climbed out. Medium height, rough beard, heavy parka, limping slightly. I opened the side door and met him on the porch. He didn't offer a name, just asked, "Mind if I stay a night or two?" Got turned around, storm's coming. His voice was dry but alert. The kind of guy who looks at exits when he walks into a room. Something about him made my shoulders tighten. Maybe it was the way his eyes never quite stopped moving, or how he never took off his gloves even when he came inside. I gave him a room anyway. He ate breakfast the next morning in silence. Oatmeal and black coffee, said thanks. Went back upstairs. That was the last I saw of him. At noon, I knocked on his door to check in. No answer. I opened it. Empty, no bags. No coat bed made. Like no one had ever been there. I stood in the hallway for a full minute staring at the carpet. Had I imagined him? The dirty plate was still in the sink. That night I couldn't sleep. Every floorboard groaned like a sigh. The silence wasn't passive anymore. It was listening. Watching, the snow outside seemed off. Not just heavy, thicker, almost too solid. Like if you stepped into it, you might not come back out. Then, around 3 a.m., I saw the glow. Fire. I bolted downstairs and saw the gazebo out back fully engulfed in flames. Standing around it were 3 men. I opened the back door and shouted, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" One turned toward me, face flickering in the firelight. "Give us the man who came last night," he said calmly. "We know he's here." "He's gone," I shouted. "He's not here anymore." They didn't move, didn't speak again. Just stood there. I grabbed the shotgun from under my bed and went out. Crunching through the snow, wind biting my ears, heart pounding. As I got closer, I realized, and they weren't men. Not anymore, they were mannequins. Just mannequins human-sized, wearing winter jackets and gloves. Painted faces, each with a bright, cartoonish smile. One had an axe in its hand. It wasn't plastic, I kicked one. It toppled backwards stiffly. No reaction. I stumbled back inside, got the fire extinguisher. When I came back out, they were gone. The gazebo was still burning. I doused it, didn't sleep. Next morning, I called the local sheriff's station. Told them everything. The visitor, the fire, the mannequins. There was a pause. Then the deputy said, "Sir, we sent an officer up there 4 days ago." The place was empty. He said it looked abandoned. No car, no footprints. I blinked. "I've been here the whole time." Another pause. Then, "Mister, you called us 2 weeks ago and told us you were leaving early. Said you were driving back to Montana. We have it on record." My skin went cold. "I didn't make that call," I whispered. The deputy's voice softened. "Are you sure you're okay, sir?" I hung up. I left that same day, didn't pack much. Just got in my truck and drove until I stopped shaking. I didn't even remember the turnoff to the lodge disappearing in the mirror. I didn't want to. A week later, I visited my mom back in Billings. She asked for help sorting old boxes. We sat in the living room, surrounded by dusty photo albums, childhood drawings, broken ornaments. I was just starting to calm down. Then I saw the picture. Me, maybe 5 years old, holding my mom's hand outside an old clothing store. Yellowed photo, sun glare. A crooked smile on my kid face. Behind us in the shop window were 3 mannequins. Winter coats, gloves, each with that same painted smile. I stared at the photo until my vision blurred. My mom kept talking, but I didn't hear her. They were there, back then, watching. I don't know if what happened in that lodge was real, but I know they saw me and they smiled.
Just when you thought camp couldn't get any worse, the counselors found another set of bones. Not animal this time. A whole rib cage laid out like someone had opened a book and flattened its spine up in the dirt. Clean, but not bleached. Fresh enough that someone, Mia, probably, threw up in the grass behind the arts cabin. The sheriff came again. Second time this month. He gave the same tired speech about coyotes and illegal dumping and how nothing about this matches any missing persons cases in the area. But we all knew that wasn't a coyote. Coyotes don't stack vertebrae like Jenga blocks and leave them at the edge of the lake. They didn't cancel camp. Of course they didn't. Too many lawsuits in that. They just shortened lights out and added a new optional buddy system for bathroom breaks. Optional, like anyone was going to pee alone now. The thing is, I'm not scared of bones. I'm scared of what made them, and I've seen it. 3 nights ago, I snuck out to meet Nolan. It was his idea, not mine. He wanted to show me a deer skull he found near the canoe racks. It looks like it was smiling, he said, which is not something you say unless you want someone to not follow you into the woods. But I went anyway, and he wasn't lying. It did look like it was smiling. Not just the skull, everything about it. The way it was posed, legs tucked under like it had just curled up and died peacefully. Except it hadn't. There were bite marks around the eyes. Deep ones, too wide for a fox, too precise for a bear. We were still crouched there when we heard it. Something dragging, something wet. I didn't move, Nolan did. He stepped back, tripped on a root, and it turned. It wasn't tall, that's the worst part. It wasn't some hulking movie monster with claws and a roar. It was child-sized. Naked, pale, slick as if it had been born seconds ago. Its mouth was too wide. No eyes, but it saw us. Nolan ran, I didn't. I stayed very still, my knees sunk in the mud, heart like a trapped squirrel in my throat. And the thing sniffed the air, tilted its head like a curious dog, and smiled. Then it turned and melted into the trees. I told myself I imagined it. That Nolan made it up. That I'd fallen asleep and dreamed the whole thing. But this morning, Nolan's bunk was empty, and his flashlight was in the mud behind the canoes.